Hello and welcome back. Today, my guest's name is Jeff, who has had some very interesting experiences, um, astral travel, out of body experiences, ET contact. Anyway, and he's going to tell us all about that today. Jeff, how you doing? Thank you for joining me.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome, man. So yeah, I guess you can basically start at whatever point is most relevant to the story and take it from there.
Okay. My experience started when I was 8 years old. I had a dream that I was in a white room with four alien type entities that were up on a high bench, and it was basically a flat screen on the wall, and they showed me my life. And from that, they asked me if I could either choose not to do this or I could choose my family. And I looked over and I saw what I always assumed was my mom, my dad, and my sister. It was three people standing over there, and I just always assumed I was them three. And I chose them. Being 8 years old, I really didn't know anything else. Everything I saw wasn't really, didn't really add up much. And so I chose that. I woke up. It was, I was told it was just a bad dream and go back to bed. So, and then from that point on, a lot of things have happened in my life. I've had numerous counts of deja vu, quite a few out of body experiences. And then recently went through a breakup. And this time around, I really leaned hard towards healing myself, meditating, listening to inspirational people such as Rich himself, and making sure that I could go forward with knowing that I am who I am. And so we have a little area out back where we can build campfires. And so I went out and built a campfire, grabbed a cup of coffee, and went outside and sat by the fire and started looking through YouTube videos for some inspirational. And I came across one that says, get in contact with your ancestors. And so I was like, I come from my grandma's uncle was the first Portuguese doctor in the state of Illinois. So there is a lineage of people that heal in our family. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'll just throw this on here and just give me something to work forward, any type of signs, anything. And I had basically that experience again. This time there was no talking, there was no questions, no screen at all. And the three images wind up being my kids. I have an older daughter and two sons. And it really clicked on me right then and there that the first time around, it was about family. It was my mom, my dad, and my sister. But now it was me looking at my kids as my family, knowing that I've grown up and I am the matriarch of my family now compared to what I was when I was a child. Numerous times throughout my life, there has been instances. Uh, I dabbled in some hallucinogenic drugs when I was in my later teens, 20s. That was, the 90s. So it was something that we played around with. But for me, it was always something that gave me inspiration to do something better. I never really just lost myself into visualizations and stuff like that. It was always fixing something inside myself, always looking to find a better way, and out of body experiences. I had one where I took probably way too much mushrooms, and I was sitting on a roof and I was smoking a cigarette, and I saw this red orb go by. And I was like, did anybody see that red orb? And they're like, no. And then it stopped. It came directly back, stopped right in front of me, and then went straight up in the air. I was just like, nobody saw that. And they're like, we didn't see nothing. I was like, okay. Went back inside. I laid down. I took glow in the dark stickers and put all the constellations up on my ceiling, turned on the black light, and just lay back on my bed. And the next thing I know, I floated out of the room, looking down at the house, looking down at the county, looking down at my state, to the North America, to being looking at Earth to the moon to Mars and just continuing on all the way into the middle of Orion's belt and all the clouds and everything through Orion's belt. And when I came out of my own eye, and I just woke up and had no idea how long. I was freaking everybody out because they said I wasn't breathing for like 5 minutes, and they were trying to wake me up, and I was just like, I was on the Great Space Coaster. I went on, what I feel is part of our journey as human beings. We're all part of this universe. We're all connected. We're all made up of energy and magnetism, and there's no denying it in my heart. There's none whatsoever that we are all connected in a great, great big universe. So infinite possibilities and an infinite universe. So
Absolutely,
anything
yeah.
is bound to happen.
Would you say that when you were having these experiences, like you said they were dreams with these aliens, were you being given the opportunity to choose your future, almost like a life plan? Only usually we plan our life before we incarnate, but do you think maybe some of your soul plan was being chosen while you're here?
I do believe so. I think they gave me the choice of I could not experience none of what I have experienced in my life. Like, you don't have to learn this lesson. You have the right to say no, I don't want to be here, or yes, I want to be here, even though that there's going to be some pain and suffering that goes along with it. But in the end, the value of it is what you will learn. And that's what I think was the main thing that I got from it is there is something to be learned from this. That they gave me, I chose. It wasn't like they forced anything on me. I had the right to choose. And at being at a young age, I kind of look at it was like, well, was it because I was the younger kid and my family was all I really knew, and it was like a being scared type of situation, being intimidated by them. So I naturally just chose that instead of maybe, not choosing this situation. But as I look back on it, I definitely know it was the right decision. I know that what I chose was what was in my heart. That was definitely my plan. It was definitely something that I was given that opportunity to do.
Would you consider yourself a star seed, maybe?
I definitely have watched quite a few videos about that. I've definitely listened to your videos about that and stuff like that. And I definitely can relate to a lot of what, those type of demographics I fit into. There's definitely, I are I can sit by myself and have no problem. I can always be by myself and have no issue. I can go have fun and a rock concert all by myself. I could go have the best time all by myself. Does not matter. In a group, it does not matter. I can have fun. I always try to be happy. I don't have to try to be happy. I just, try to be humorous and joyful and make sure that everybody has what I feel is what my experience is. If I'm having a good time, then, there's no reason why everybody else shouldn't be having a good time. But, everybody has their own free will and their choice, and so we all make these things. And there's been many, 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 many times in my life where I have been down rock bottom. I've been homeless twice. I lived out in the woods behind a Native American reservation, and we went and asked the tribal council permission to stay on their land, and they gave it to us. And as long as we didn't destroy it and burn it down, we had the right to stay there. uh, One of our co-workers was Native American, and so they always got commodity foods from the government, and everybody was more than happy to give that stuff away. They're like, we don't eat this stuff, you guys can have it. And it's like, we're homeless, so beef and beef parts. Well, is that a vein or an artery? I'm not quite sure, but we'll just go around it. It was food. Always had a job. Always, always, always had a job, no matter what. I wound up getting divorced, and I was homeless for 2.5 years, sleeping in the front seat of my Mazda pickup truck. I had a full-time job at DirecTV. They did not know about that for about 2 years until somebody complained about me, and they took me in the office, and I just kind of melted down and just told them what my life circumstances were at the time, and they had no idea. They literally thought I had a house and everything, and they had no idea.
I've been
And
there. I know how it is. Yeah.
yep, and I lived through. I took a lot, and this is something just recently I found out about my own self. Is I look for a lot of gratification. I look for reaffirmation from people that I'm a good guy, that I'm a good human being. That's the only thing I can really think of is, am I good? I know my job. I know that I'm always praised through my work because of my work ethic and how good of a job I can do and make sure that it's up to, standards and above, exceed expectations of your job at times. So
Kind of
those are
natural.
always
That wanting that validation, that's natural. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
okay. To me, and then it bleeds over into relationships. And I was in a very toxic relationship for 17 years with my two kids' mother, and it's still toxic to this day. And so I just avoid all communication with her because it's no point. There's just no point of trying to do it. And unfortunately, my middle son, suffers the most. My daughter, she's in college. So we talk, and her mother always says, "You're just like your father." And she says, "Well, thank you. I take that as a compliment." So
Yeah, yeah. I
it's
mean,
definitely
I feel like that's natural, but if you say you've listened to a lot of the things that I had to say, like intention, that's very underrated, I think, is what because every individual has to have a conversation with themselves, and it all depends on what you can say to yourself. So, like, if you can say to yourself, my heart is pure, my intentions are good, I mean no harm to anybody, to me, that's all that matters. Of course, there's going to be people that judge you. Some people are going to think, yeah, you're a good person. Some people are going to think, no, you're a bad person. Doesn't matter what they think. It matters what you can say to yourself.
Yeah. It's how you really feel about yourself. And that's a tough thing, especially when, there is circumstances, I'm guilty of having an affair. So I did it twice. I did it twice with both my marriages, and I knew that that would be the end of it. One was the first toxic one. The second one, I met her when I was homeless, and like the things that you say when, low vibrational energies meet together. But luckily enough for us, it we she was kind of homeless at the same time, going through her own personal issues, and she has mental illnesses. And I had a good job at Direct TV with great benefits, so that kind of helped her out in the getting her medication and actually getting the consistent help that people need. And so it was just, hey, let's get married. We moved in, and then she started going to college to get her degree and stuff like that. And she had her own drive and purpose. And it really didn't, our paths diverged right then and there. It was what was needed for both of us. We both needed that, and we weren't toxic to each other. We were actually two people that were trying to move forward. And me, I spent too many years at DirecTV and drove 125,000 miles in 5 years, and always happened to work the weekend. You couldn't get away from that, and it just burned me out, and I was just very unhappy. So I took a job at the local college, and that was 20 minutes away from my house, and I didn't have to kill myself. I went to work at 7 and I got off at 3:30, Monday through Friday, weekends off. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. That was I look back on that every single day, that I'm like, where am I at now? And it started from that moment. That was one moment that has progressively changed my life forever. And shortly thereafter, the whole uh, Black Lives Matters, the protest it was at the Evergreen State College with Brett Weinstein. I was working that day. I came out of the elevator and chaos is unfolding in front of me, glass being broken everywhere, and I'm a custodian. I have to clean all this up. And I'm like, hey, what's going on, everybody? And we got administrators that are people of color that are yelling at these kids like, you guys have no idea what a real experience of this is. You haven't seen, walking down the street and have your best friend get gunned down in front of you. I mean, these are, and it was very tense. It was definitely a very tense spot, and it helped me. It helped me learn a lot about, just how much I can accept everybody. And it has to do with nature. It has to do with me spending so much time being with nature. I grew up on 10 acres out in the country. 8 of it was field, 2 of it was woods, and there's at least 100 acres of old growth timber behind our house. And don't cut down the trees, don't burn it down. You can go out there and play as much as you want. And so I went out there. I used to pick mushrooms, and they're like, "Don't pick those; those are poisonous. Pick the chanterelles, and you can pick the yellow, the orange, and the whites. And there's a place down here that'll buy them." And so as a kid, that was easy money every fall. That was like my Christmas money to buy my own GI Joes and Transformers and stuff like that, to go out and pick a 5-gallon bucket full of chanterelle mushrooms and make $100. Neighbors always, everybody just kind of always employed you. We had apple trees, always garden. My family is very self-sustainable, so that was something that I am extremely thankful that I was blessed with. That's knowing how to be sustainable as a person, because it really helps me as an individual to really be able to tackle myself, to really be able to know that, okay, I know how to take care of I know how to survive. My parents taught me how to survive any situation. And Boy Scouts after that, which, how to be prepared for stuff. Always got to be prepared. It's the Boy Scout motto. And so those things just kind of bled on, and experiences happen, and going to different places and seeing nature. And some of it I'll never see again in my life. There's places that I went as a child that I don't, I don't think I'll ever go again. You know, got to be able to go to the East Coast when I was 13. My parents had a bad divorce, and so my sister and I got shipped off to my aunt's house in Virginia, and they were kind enough as people to show us around. Got to go to all the Smithsonian Institutes, got a good tours of all the White House. I got to sit on a Supreme Court chair because they were closed that day and we had DOD clearance. So lucky enough, that happened, and I'll never do that again. I'll never have that opportunity ever. Thomas Jefferson's house and history, Lincoln's house. I went there. Uh, I'm trying to figure out the time frame, because I know I went to Illinois when I was 8, but I don't know when I had that experience with the aliens. Was it before I took the plane trip or after the plane trip? That's something that always really kind of boggles my mind, is that situation. Was it something that was brought on by air travel, or was an experience and going and seeing, Abraham Lincoln, St. Louis, and going to the family property that they homesteaded back in the day? And that connectivity, was it before or after? And I keep on trying to piece those two together, because a curiosity of mine.
Do you think that the aliens, if you focus, do you think you would possibly be able to connect with them on command? Or do they just kind of show up at random points whenever it's an important turning point in your life?
I guess it would be how much of their presence. I mean, there's times before, it used to be like deja vu, and I would have images. There'd be like, in my mind, I can actually, like, I could see it on the screen, and this what's going on right now. Those are like, it's a Polaroid picture in my mind. It's like, yep, I got the Polaroid. Here's what's going on right now. I remember this. And that's how I met my friends, and the person I love. Is those things right there, is those images. Now it's almost like a wide lens almost gets turned on. It's like I kind of have like a regular normal lens, and all of a sudden there's like this opening, and it's almost like being lightheaded. That's the only thing I can really put it to, but without the affection of my mobility and balance and stuff like that. But the whole world just kind of just widens out, and it'll sit that way for a couple minutes to 10 minutes at times. Sometimes it can go on for much longer. I can when I sit outside, I can look at the trees and everything, and I can all of a sudden all their auras all start to shine all around the trees, the grass, everything, birds that go through the air, and they'll start to come out more. All of a sudden, nature always seems to appear itself more at those times. So I how much they want to interfere with me, I that's what I don't that's why I always try to understand, because I think it was my choice, but also it's, are they continually watching? Are they, are they dropping me little crumbs of information if I allow myself to tap into that? And there's been many times where I was seeking that guidance, and my life progressively has gotten better when I sought that advice compared to times I went down bad roads, alcohol, drug use, you know, chasing women, trying to feel good in life, and all for the wrong reasons. Was always trying to seeking that validation, and it wasn't that. It was always within myself and with my purpose, whatever, you know. At the end, I will definitely know exactly what this was,
Yeah.
and I will be so grateful and thankful that I've got to experience this, because there's no better experience than the human experience. I,
Yeah.
you know, this is something else. This is something else.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me, it's funny that you say that, that I've been experiencing something for the past, well, okay, so I'm 34 years old. I'll be
Okay.
35 in February. And this used to happen to me all the time when I was a kid, like in between the ages of maybe 5 and I want to say 10. And then it went away. And then as soon as I hit 30, it started happening again, where I'll have the only thing that I can describe it as is deja vu, but it's not really deja vu. I'll have these images in my mind of a memory, but it's not a memory from anything I've experienced in this lifetime. And it's not even really anything that I can describe in detail. Like I'll see, like you said, like look at the trees, or I'll see a building, or I'll see, and it's like that looks familiar. And I'll see an image in my mind of a memory, but it's a memory of like being somebody else. And I can't even, for the past 4 years now, I've been trying to bring words to it. Does that kind of ring a bell any at all?
Oh,
Because this is
yeah, yeah, it's the same thing. And you're probably a Pisces then.
well, I'm an Aquarius actually.
Okay,
Close.
okay. So with the Aquarius, and to me, I always associated it was always being at the end of the cycle. Like I've lived 12 cycles of my life. I'm at the end of it, and that's where I associate with the family, with what I had in the vision I had when I was a kid. I associated that with family is because we're all family. This whole astrological cycle, everybody, we are all connected. A lot of, especially tarot card readers and stuff like that, is these energies are, it doesn't matter what your sign is, these are energies that go between all of us. You may not have, this may not be your divining, sign, but it may have that little bit of in there somewhere where it helps you out. And
Yeah.
to me, it's those things, it's those things that when those happen, it's, I always try to, what's going to be, where's this heading, and then it's based on my attitude. Now a lot of it's based on my emotional security of who I am, of where this is taking me on a more positive direction than a negative. Before, it was almost like warnings, like, oh, there's one warning sign before the accident ahead, and that's all you're going to get. And if you don't slow down, you're going to be part of this accident. Now they're much more. It's exit here. Here's the exit sign. We're getting off the freeway. We're not going to stay on this. This is a path that you're not supposed to be going down. And even when struggles and things happen in my life, I always get put back to a main path in my life. It's somehow, some way, I don't know if it's because when I go through personal issues and hurt, I seek nature. That is my first and foremost thing that I go into. I seek nature. I'll travel to Oregon. I'll go to a place called McCready Hot Springs, and I'll go soak in there for hours. And it's not a real sulfury one, so it's nice. It's kind of volcanic sand and nice and hot. And I've had some way out of body experiences. First time I was there was Memorial Weekend. There's the place was packed. Dude was all hitting on these teenage girls, and they're super uncomfortable. I was I sat right across from them, so I could see their uncomfortableness, and it's like, and then I just blurted out, "Hey, nobody wants you to do, nobody wants you here, man. So just get up and leave. No, they don't appreciate it. Nobody else is really jiving on you, dude. So just leave." And he did. He got up and left. And they were all, thank you. And everybody, about 5 minutes later, everybody was like, man, that dude was such a creeper. Man, thank you for saying something. And I was like, I'm here to heal. I'm pretty sure everybody else is here for some type of medicinal reason to sit here and heal. And just laying there for hours and hours and hours. And then it started to get dark out. And I started having visions and feelings of Native Americans coming and using the hot springs for like wintertime to heal wounds. I saw a medicine woman. She was part of the tribe. She came down through a trail and she hung up a bag on a tree. And I was just sitting there and she like kind of squatted down. And then I was just kind of looking around and she got up and I could just see her walking away. And I still see the bag on the tree. And I was like, I went to say something, then nothing was there. And it was just like, and all of a sudden there's other people, now it's like a flashback in time, whether it be that was my time at one time in my, past lives or whatever it may be, or an experience that I could, that was still remnants that were left on if the right people are there to experience it.
Well, what it kind of sounds like is that you might be tuned into alternate dimensions because, you know, like they say, there is no real time and space. Everything is happening right here, right now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in one sense, you could probably say that, yeah, you're seeing something from that happened in the past, but at the same time, it's all happening right now in a different dimension. So it kind of honestly sounds like you're partially tuned in to this and partially tuned into other things that are going on, you know?
Yeah. Which makes it difficult, which makes it a difficult type of, because which, am I in this alternate reality or am I in my own reality? And so now it's been a lot better. I don't know if there's been a better blend of the two since I've had the second experience. There's definitely been a change. There's the fine tune adjustment on the old television set. Things of, we can actually watch cartoons without all the snow now. So
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to equate it. I mean, we literally are like a radio or a TV, you know? Like when you're sitting in your car, how many radio frequencies do you think are blasting through that car? There's hundreds, but the radio is only
Yep.
tuned into one. But if you turn the knob halfway, you can get two of them coming in at the same time.
Yep.
And that kind of sounds like that's what you got going on. And like you said, it's difficult because if anybody, have you ever listened to people who have had near death experiences?
I've had multiple.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's hear that.
Okay. I was 4 years old. I was at the babysitter's house with my sister, and they had a big giant maple tree in their yard. All the kids were climbing it. And so I decided that I was going to climb the tree too. And I stood up to go grab the branch above me, and I was too short. And I said, whoop, right out of the tree and face planted right on the ground. To this day, the babysitter and my mom are still good friends, and she is still mortified about that whole day. That day still haunts her because I was so messed up. Uh, broke my leg as a kid. I broke my arm. Uh, I almost drowned my junior year in high school. I live by a river that floods every once in a while, and it wound up flooding, and it washed away the year before this person's driveway. And so they rebuilt it with these big, giant, huge boulders and a culvert. And so I was just kind of side skating the flooding of the river. And I figured I'll just go across the driveway. It'll be the shallowest. And then just then my dad came up over the hill from the bridge, and I waved at him and he waved at me, and I went to go across their driveway, and nothing. There was no driveway whatsoever. It was completely washed out, gone, and into the river I went. And the next thing I know, I just feel my dad grabbing the back of my hoodie and yanking me out of the river. And he says, "Where are you going?" I said, "I don't know. I have no idea." And there was images the whole entire time, because it was a good probably 40, 50 feet, maybe a little bit more before he pulled me out. For when I initially went in, my bicycle was like a half mile down the farmer's field, all embedded into a bunch of trees and logs and sticks. I had to go in there and dig it all out. And had a three-wheeler land on me. I rolled it backwards down a hill and smashed me in my face, knocked out my front tooth, and blackened both my eyes, and left me unconscious for a good period of time. I should no way I should have ever survived that, not wearing a helmet. That was, I mean, that thing strictly landed on me, 400 pounds. I was probably 120 pounds at the time.
Did you have any
Definitely.
experiences where you actually left your body and came back?
Yes, I've done that without even having the near death.
Oh,
If
okay.
if if I sit here and just go through some breathing exercises, I can definitely just go for a ride. I can leave my body and go places, areas that I know visually. I can go there.
So is it like, does it feel like you're still a body, but just like an energy body and kind of slipping out of like a suit of clothing or something? What's that feel like?
Just mostly my head. It is. All I can explain it is just mostly. It's just like my vision. It's just mostly just eyesight and vision. Nothing else attached to it. It's just basically just the vision of what I have, and I don't even have a real body that goes with it. It's just mostly just uh, the visual of it, the vision of traveling up and out and going places and then coming back. And it's like, okay, I remember my childhood home. It's probably a good 70 miles away from where I live. I can calm myself down enough. I could put myself into a state where I can go from where I live at now, travel down the freeway, down the highway, down all the roads, and then go up to the driveway to see that property in my mind,
Hmm,
and then be right back.
that's interesting. Well, is there any other interesting experiences that you would like to share before we wrap it up?
Hmm.
If not, that's
I
okay.
get no. I just there's just been just I've had just so many weird experiences in life that they it's almost, I always take them as gifts. It's always, it's always adds like to my experience of life. It's just things that I'm not going to say I'm blessed or anything, because not all of them have been good. They have not all been good experiences to take. I classify as being blessed, but there are definitely things that without them, I would not understand what they were asking me to begin with what do you choose? Would you rather not have any of this experience at all, or would you like to go through all this experience to know what family really means? Or you just don't want to know what, the full effect of everything is? And I think that's where I gather a lot of that from, is it's part of all that experience of, pushing myself, because that's I have to continually push myself. I've been a carpenter for 20 years. There's plenty of times where I'm up high on ladders, doing stuff, and you look down and you're 25, 30 feet to the ground, and it's like you have to be able to overcome that fear to do this job. I raced motorcycles through high school, so there's that. I pushed myself a lot, just being in a broken home. I pushed myself to riding motorcycles because I was by myself. It was me and the machine, and I was in full control. Nobody was in control of what I was doing except for me. And it just bled into racing motorcycles. And I never won anything, but I had fun. I enjoyed every single time I ever strapped on that helmet and pushed my bike up to the line to go for a race. And it's those things I feel are some of the most important things that help me out with all the experiences is they gave me that opportunity. Here's an opportunity to experience things regardless of the outcome of it, whether it be a positive or a negative outcome. It's still, do you want to experience this? And to me, it's like, yes, I do want to experience this. I want to, you know, do you want to know what it feels like to be a human? And it's like, well, you gotta know what all this stuff feels like to be a human. You just can't cherry pick it. There's no cherry picking of, you only get this path. Everybody, we all experience it. We all experience the massive up and downs in life, and it's who we are that defines us. It really, to me, I have something to fall back on. That's what I always feel. That's my fallback. I was given this gift. I chose this. Whether it was something that past lifetimes, astral projections, just being, an alien and into a human body, and they're like, okay, do you want to do this? Here's your last chance. Here's your last chance before you're going to be a human until you pass away and you come back to us, and you leave this human body. And so I definitely accepted it. And I'm going to make the absolute very, very best I possibly can. I'm going to keep working on myself on a daily basis and have a positive attitude because I have great things to look forward to. I have a 18-month-old son that his laughter and smile is my life. I mean, there's no better feeling. I don't care how bad of a day I have. If he smiles and laughs, everything else is gone. That it just melts my soul and it makes me a better person. And I want to make sure that I can give him the opportunities that were given to me as a kid to make him have a great experience on this planet. And I do that with everybody. I always treat people the way I want to be treated. And I just want to be treated with, respect. I'm not here to hurt nobody. I'm not out to win nobody over, to steal from people, to have all the money in the world. None of that matters to me. It's, I'd much rather have a conversation with somebody than a bank account full of millions of dollars because I'm going to get more value out of that conversation than I would out of whatever I could do with money. Money is just going to, more money, more problems, and you'll just have more material things. And I don't need that stuff. I'm looking for the experience because I think what was given to me was this opportunity to have the human experience, and I will
Awesome.
always, yeah,
Well,
always be grateful
I
for it.
greatly appreciate you sharing your experience, man. If
I
you ever have any other kind of experience or any other kind of contact or anything like that, you can feel free to let me know.
Okay, yeah, I have your email, and I definitely, who knows? I mean, after this experience, I may have, it. That's why when I saw the clip of it, and I was playing some Call of Duty Mobile, and I reset my game. I watched your clip, and I listened to you, and I was like, okay, cool. There's the email, and then I went back to playing, and then got done, went outside and smoked a cigarette, and I came back in, and I sat down, and all that just came out in just one setting. It was just like, finally, it was just like, hey, do you want to tell your story? And I was like, hell yes, I want to tell my story. Thank you. Thank you for somebody that's willing to listen to something that I've been dealing with for 48 years of my life. For 40 years of my life, I've been kicking this around in my head and making sure that, I'm doing the right thing, being a good person and being somebody that people can look up to and make sure that they know that I'm the trustworthy person, and I can do whatever that needs to be done, and I just keep on pushing myself because I know I just need to keep learning and growing. Everybody is going to be able to teach me something, and sometimes those lessons were very hard to learn, and I didn't want to learn. And I know that now. I know that there's been plenty of times where people have given me opportunities and I bypassed them, whether it be, not aware of the situation or whatever it may be, just my own stubbornness or me not being ready yet. And that's a lot of it is, I think, is when you're willing to go that route, to really to accept it. And I'm gonna probably the thing that helped me the most is when I was in my early 20s, I read the Celestine Prophecy. I'm not sure if you've ever read that book or not, by James Redding, I think, or James Redmond.
Mm-mm, I'm
And
not a big
it's
reader.
a book about energy and how if you take your fingers and you put them close together, you can see smoke between your fingers if you can focus, and that's your own energy. And it's like I used to do that all the time as a kid. That was things I always did as a kid, and it's like I can see smoke between my fingers. And then when I got my 20 and I read that book, I was like, wow, really? I instantly it's instantly there, and it just talks about how people steal your energy because that's what they want to do. That's how they get their energy, is to create conflict with you so they can basically steal your energy. And it's just we all have to protect our own energies, and there's people like that. And so being in my 20s, I think that really helped me out with having that, because for it helped me avoid conflict a lot of times, just because I had that sense of it, and there's that heightened awareness of feeling, oh, okay, probably shouldn't be here. This person's going to be just negative to me. How do I block it out? And then, like most things in life, things happen, you forget things, and then I'm grateful enough that things come back. You know, Sometimes there's the, hey, do you remember when you made this choice? And it's like, yes, I did remember when I made that choice. And this is why I made that choice, is because of family. And family is a massive important thing to me. It's something that I feel is something that is definitely lacking on this planet today, is the willingness for people to have that connectivity with their own groups, their own little spiritual tribes, as a lot of people say. And it takes a village. It takes a village to raise everybody, because we all need everybody to bounce ideas off of and to help everybody grow better. But everybody gets in their own purposes, and it's hard, and we all lose that connectivity. And that's why I like listening to you, because there's a lot of things that I'm like, okay, well, that really doesn't mean much to me, but there's some things that you say that is just like, I feel like we're having this conversation right now, and it's just the same type of conversation. And it's like, okay, what do I need to do? He's giving me, you're using the wrong tools. You probably shouldn't be using a standard. You need to use a metric on this. This is a metric type of situation, or this, you're using a metric on a standard. There's just that little bit of sloppiness. If you just change what you're doing, it helps you out. And I definitely try to help anybody out. I'll give you the shirt off my back if need be, because I would, I think that's what would be done to me. If I needed, a shirt, somebody would give me their shirt. It happened recently. I left my wallet at home. I drove all the way up to Lacey, which was like 45 miles away. I got up there, my check engine light came on. I was like, sweet, I'll run into the bank. I'll grab out my rent money. I'll go get gas at Costco. Oh, where's my wallet? My wallet's at home. Oh no. How am I going to get back home to get my wallet? All right. I don't. What do I got change. I got change in my car. So I got all my change out. I go in there and I put it up on the counter. The cashier lady, she's yelling at me because she's making me roll up the coins and stuff like that because there's so much. And I get all done. The lady behind me slides me up $5 and says, "I hope this helps out." And I'm like, "I can cash app you this." And she's like, "I don't have none of that. Just if you see somebody that needs that, just pay it forward. And it was like, thank you so much. Here I am. I'm trying to get something done. I don't have my wallet. I don't know if I'm going to even make it back home to get my wallet. So it's like, and then somebody was just nice enough just to, here you go. I hope that helped. And it did. It got me all the way home to make sure I got my wallet with plenty enough gas. I didn't have to worry about running out of gas. Went right to the gas station, filled up, and finished off my day. And it was just that type of kindness. I think the kindness of some of us that are here is what, I always kind of refer to myself a little bit as a lighthouse. The lighthouse runs 24 hours a day. It's brighter at nighttime. It's always brighter when it's dark, but it still shines during the daylight. Just harder to see. So when it's light out, there's still light in there. When it's dark out, it's a lot easier to see, but there is a bright, shining light here. I will definitely do whatever I can to help anybody be better in their life. I will help you find tools, just like you help me find tools in my life to make my life better. But ultimately, it's up to me to do what needs to be done. And I think
After this video gets uploaded, there will probably be some people who might want to reach out with questions. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, of course I would.
How can people get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me at Gmail, and that's JEFFRO215 at gmail.com.
Cool.
And yep. And I have my own YouTube channel and stuff, but I don't do much. A lot of my stuff got pulled down because it was cool concert videos of concerts I went to, and then I got copyrighted, so I had to take them down. But I did start up a little side project of, I do the Wildwood tarot cards, and so I started up a little thing. I haven't done any videos or not. I've been trying to feel this whole thing out, of what do I do now? That's the thing that's kind of, what's my full purpose direction of all this? How much is this going to expand? And I think this is, kind of one of the answers that, the universe, whatever made you decide to ask 7 billion people what their experiences are. This guy here was waiting for somebody to ask me what my experience was. And so I am extremely grateful that you even proposed this. I was like blown away. And I was like, hey, I just need to, because I feel it's positive. I don't feel like this is a negative type of experience that would deter anybody. I think it should be a very inspiring and enlightening experience for everybody to be able to have and to experience for their own selves and to get their own purpose out of it. And hopefully this will just broaden my horizons even more to allow more love, light, and energy into my life.
Absolutely. Well, I will link your stuff in the description of the video. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Jeff, I greatly appreciate you for tuning in here and sharing your experience, and you have a good day, okay?
You too. Thank you very much, Rich.
All right, man. Have a good one.